going to look at factoring, but these are more realistic, like actual problems. So first we did factoring, a equal to 1, that lead coefficient equal to 1. Then we did factoring where that a value was greater than 1. But the problems we have today are all the factoring processes just kind of jumbled together. You may have to factor once, twice, or even 3 times to get through one problem. Huh?
3 times a leap.
3 times. Hey, good song. All right. So, look in here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and solve these. So first, we know we have to set the equation equal to 0. So that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to subtract the 72 to the other side. So 6x squared plus 24x minus 72 equals 0. All right, now if you begin trying to factor before you check for a greatest common factor, you're going to make yourself a very difficult situation. So always be looking for greatest common factor. Do these have a factor in common?
6.
They have 6. I'm going to rewrite 6 times x squared plus 4x minus 12. All right. Right, we're going to talk for just a minute about that 6. The fact is, because this equation equals 0, we could just divide by 6. And the 6 would be completely gone, right? And it would still be equal to 0. But we're going to make a habit and practice of leaving that 6 there, because when we go to write in intercept form, we need that 6, don't we? That 6 is our a value. That 6 tells us if it flips upside down or if it stretches or compresses. So we don't want to get rid of that 6 as a habit. We're going to leave that 6 there, okay? All right. Inside the parentheses, I have to look again. Are there any more common factors? No, I got them all out. Is it a difference of squares? Is it positive perfect square trinomials? No. It's that x thing. So we're just going to do the factors of negative 12. I don't have anything I have to multiply that by. That add to be 4. 1 positive, 1 negative. 6 and 2. Since I want a positive 4, it's going to be 6 minus 2. So when I rewrite it, I've got 6 is my outside here, still there, 2 parentheses, and the factoring comes out as x plus 6, x minus 2. That's my factored form of the equation. Okay. Now we're going to find our solutions. This 6 does nothing to my solutions. It doesn't have an x as a part of it, so it doesn't do anything. It just sits there and waits in case I need to stretch or flip or when I graph it. It's just leave it alone. So my solutions coming out of my parentheses, x equals negative 6, x equals positive 2. Okay. Seem pretty good? Okay, it's just putting all the different things together. Yes, sir?
Why did we need the 6 there?
Okay, so for this problem, we don't need the 6. Okay, but when we're factoring for the purpose of graphing, we need to remember that that 6 is a valuable piece of information in our graph, right? That's a vertical stretch of 6. So we're just going to make a habit of leaving it there, even though it doesn't affect our intercepts. Okay? All right, looking at number 2, again, put it equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 18. I get 32x squared minus 98 equals 0. All right, notice every time I take the work to put equal 0, because that's what I want from you. All right, common factors. If you get stuck on common factors, it's okay to just begin with 2. Use 2 and then see if you have anything common left after that.
32.
Huh?
Isn't it 32?
Well, 32, the multiples of 32 is 32, 64, 96. So no, but that was a good shot. We're going to do 2. 2 times 16x squared minus 49 equals 0. So now that I pulled the 2 out, I can look and see that it doesn't have any more common factors left behind. 2 was all I had. Okay, what do you think about those parentheses? Good. I've got 2 perfect squares and the difference in between. So that's difference of squares. So I'm going to have 2 parentheses equal to 0. So 2 times square root of 16x squared is 4x. So I've got 4x times 4x. Square root of 49 is 7. So I've got 7 times 7, 1 plus, 1 minus. Yay, that was good factoring. Now we're going to do our solutions. Again, this 2 has no value right now. It doesn't do anything for me, but we're going to make a habit of leaving it there. Okay? So we've got x equals negative 7 over 4, and x equals positive 7 over 4. Okay? Now you have to admit, once you get good at factoring, it's fun, right? Yeah, it is. Once you get good at it, it's fun. It's like doing any kind of puzzle. It's just fun. All right. Equal to 0. So I've got to move both of these values to the other side, which means they're going to change signs. So 14x squared minus 77x minus 147 equals 0.
Could you just move over to the 14x?
Good. That's going to come up in the next problem, but we'll go ahead and mention it now. You do not want a negative x squared. It just makes your life more complicated and there's no reason. So if you can avoid getting a negative x squared, you do that every time. So moving the 14x squared over would give me the negative. I'm just going to leave it and move the other stuff over. Yeah. It's not wrong. It just makes it more complex. All right, what do we have in common?
Take 7.
Take 7. So we've got 7 times 2x squared minus 11x minus 21 equals 0. All right. Any type of special factoring there? Do I have perfect squares? I don't have anything. It's just going to be my x, okay? But I can't forget about this 2. So I have to multiply a times c. What are the factors of negative 42 that combine to be negative 11? Again, because my multiple's a negative, I've got 1 plus, 1 minus.
Wait, who's 42?
Huh? So 2 times 21
okay.
is 42. Whenever we have this lead coefficient greater than 1, we have to multiply when we're figuring our numbers. So what do we think? Say it again. Negative 14 and positive 3. If you can't see it, just start dividing. 42 divided by 1, divided by 2, divided by 3, until you find that number. Okay, all right, we're going to write it up. 7 times 2 parentheses equals 0. Is anyone present other than Douglas out yesterday? Okay, I wanted to know how much detail to go in here. All right, so we're going to take this parentheses, and we need 2x squared, so we've got 2x times x. Good. These are my 2 magic numbers, but they don't go straight into the parentheses. These 2 numbers are going to multiply. So one of the 2 numbers needs to divide by 2 because of this 2 right here. So I'm going to divide the negative 14 by 2, and this spot, because it's multiplying with the 2, gets a negative 7. These 2 are going to multiply, so I don't have anything to divide by. It goes straight in as a plus 3. Okay. Alrighty. So my solutions are x equals negative 3/2 and x equals positive 7. Seem good? All right. Again, I already put the notes for number 4. I really don't want a negative x squared, so I'm going to move that negative 8x squared to the left, so I will have a positive 8x squared minus 40x plus 50 equals 0. Okay? All right. Let's see. Common factor. 2. So 2 times 4x squared minus 20x plus 25 equals 0. Cool. Inside my parentheses, anything special, or we're just going to go straight to the x? I've got a perfect square at the beginning and the end. That makes it a perfect square trinomial. Okay? So here's how I'm going to factor it. I'm going to square root the first. That's 2x times 2x. Square root the 25. That's 5. And my sign comes from the middle. I'm going to check to make sure. Remember that this value needs to be half of the middle. So 2 times negative 5 is negative 10, which is half of negative 20. So everything is on track. Everything is good. All right? I'm going to put a little note out here. This was a perfect square trinomial. All right, so my solution comes out of the parentheses. X equals positive 5 over 2. Perfect square trinomials only have the one solution, that double root. Seem good? Really, if you watch for the perfect square trinomials, it makes your life much easier. All right? So the difference between a perfect square trinomial and a difference of squares is this value is always positive because it's a squared value. It has to always be positive. And it has a middle term, right? The difference of squares, did we do one of those already? Yeah. Has the negative for that C value and no middle term. All right, let's look at number 5. Add 12x to both sides. I get 15x squared plus 5x minus 20 equals 0. Common factor, 5. So we've got 5 times 3x squared plus x minus 4 equals 0. Inside, do I see any perfect squares? I see one perfect square, but it's not a positive, and this is not a perfect square. So we're just looking at a normal factoring situation. So inside the parentheses is what I'm factoring. So I need to multiply a times c. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. I want the factors of negative 12 that add to be 1. Because they multiply to be a negative, one of them is negative and one is positive. What are we going to get? 4 and 3. I need a positive one, so it's going to be 4 minus 3. So we've got this 3x we have to deal with. We've got to be careful. We've got 3x times x. These two are going to multiply, so one of these values needs divided by 3. Don't divide the 4 by 3. Divide the negative 3 by 3, and this value is a negative 1. This value is the positive 4. Okay, so we've got x equals negative 4/3, x equals positive 1. Yeah, so we've spent 3 days building up to this day. So if some of it looks like you're not sure what's going on, don't stress. We will get there. All right, so look at number 6, okay? Again, I'm going to move everything over. So I'm going to subtract 14x. I'm going to add 48. So we've got 3x squared plus 36x plus 108 equals 0. Common? 3. So we've got 3 times x squared plus 12x plus 36 equals 0. All right, we ready for the x? Is that a special form? Is that a special one? Is this a perfect square? Is this a perfect square? Awesome. So this is another perfect square trinomial. Okay? That looks like obst there. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and factor it the same way we did here, just kind of, we're gonna start making that the habit, just to make sure we don't mess up when we get the others. So we've got 3 times that parenthesis squared, square root of x squared is x, square root of 36 is 6, and the middle term comes from, gives me the sign. And again, we're gonna check it, right? This, there's nothing to multiply it by. This is half the middle term, and 6 squared is 36. This is the more simplified form of a perfect square trinomial. Okay, so my solution, x equals -6. Perfect square trinomials only have one solution. It's good? Feel done already? But no, we just have 4. We just want to look at making sure we see what we're doing when we have intercept form that we're writing. Okay? All right. Same process. If you don't write the f of x on every line, I do not have a problem. But if you don't put the equal, saying that these things are all equal all the way down, I have a problem. So that's where you'll lose points. So make sure at least you put the equal as you're working your way down. Okay? What do they have in common? 5. So 5 times x squared plus 9x plus 8. Thank you. All right. Anything special? Are these both perfect squares? No. So I'm just going to resort to my x. I want the factors of 8 that add to 9. Some of you may not need to write that down. That kind of happens so often we get used to it. What are the factors of 8 that add to 9? 8 and 1. So we've got 5 times my parentheses. X times x gives me x squared. Got a +8 and a +1. I'm going to rewrite it with the f of x just because I like seeing the final product. If you... Okay, thank you. Did I say 8 or did I say 1?
You said 1.
Yeah, thank you. I've been doing that all day. It's like I say one thing and then just something different gets written down. It's all right. All right. So, my solutions. Oh, I wanted to say, if you make sure you connect with your equals going down, I'm actually okay. I will not take points off. But if you just write like that as your final answer, I will take points off. Because you have to remember, what is this equal to? It's equal to f of x. Okay? Direction, looking at this, what is my A value? +5, so the direction is up. My solutions come out of the parentheses. This 5 does not give me a solution because it doesn't have an x with it. So we've got -8, 0, and -1, 0. In intercept form, I'm pulling out the intercepts, which means my answer is a point. All right, let's look at number 10. Common factor of -3. Right, so we got a common factor of -3. Always pull out the negative with the number. You don't want to leave the negative behind with the x squared, right? We don't want a negative x squared. Make a note. Every time you pull a negative out into your A value, it's going to change each sign inside your parentheses. So I'm going to have x squared minus 25 because the two negatives will multiply to give me that positive 75. Okay. All right, am I done? Look inside my parentheses. What is that? Difference of squares. So I've got -3, 2 parentheses, x times x, 5 times 5, 1 plus, 1 minus. Okay, my A value is -3. That means it's going to open down. My solutions come out as the opposite, so 0 is -5, 0 is 1 intercept, 0 root, whatever you want to call it. The other one is a +5, 0. I don't know, but I would get the idea that those x-intercepts must be important if they've got like 4 names, right? Must be important. All right. So I guess if I want my child to be important, I should give her like, I guess in people, if you only have one name, you're important. But in math, if you have 4 names, you must be important. Okay. Now you know why my brain is not writing the right numbers today. It's like totally like distracted by every other thought I have. All right, number 11, what do they have in common? 4. So h of x equals 4 times 9x squared minus 6x plus 1. Awesome. We're ready to factor. Do we need an x? Or is there something special about that particular? Is 9x squared a perfect square? Is 1 a perfect square? Yes. So it is a perfect square trinomial. We've got 4, my parentheses squared. Square root 9x squared gives me 3x. Square root 1 gives me 1. The sign comes from the middle. That's really, really important. Okay? All right, so if I check it, I'm going to check it both ways. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. That is indeed half of negative 6. Negative 1 squared is indeed positive 1. We are in good shape. What direction, up or down? Up. We only have 1 0. It's positive 1/3 0. And I'm going to put an X so you don't think I just forgot that. It's good? What does the next one have in common? 2. And we're going to pull the negative out as well. So remember, it's going to change every sign inside the parentheses because I pulled that negative out. So I've got positive 2x squared minus 13x minus 7. Okay. I don't have any squares, so I'm ready to do my x. Inside, 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. The factors of negative 14 that add to be negative 13. 1 positive, 1 negative.
Negative 7, 1.
Negative 14.
Oh, no. I know 14.
You were going to your final answers.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
That's all right. Negative 14 and positive 1. Some of you may have other methods. You come to those two numbers. I'm fine with that. As long as you're consistently getting the right answer, you come to your own process for solving. All right. So we've got negative 2 times the 2x squared has to be 2x times x. What I put in this spot is going to multiply by 2. So to find that number, I divide one of these by 2, and I get negative 7. The other number is just going to go straight in. Okay? So A value is negative 2. So it opens down. The zeros are negative 1/2, 0, and positive 7, 0. Seem good? Yes? Okay. Let me do something like that.